Alright, testing. Am I live? Am I live? Am I live? Testing. Am I live? Am I live? Am I live? Let me know if we are live. Am I live? Am I live? Am I live? Let me know if we are live, or I also get get everything promoted here. It's been a while. It really has been a while. I'm sorry for I'm sorry for being away for so long. Just streaming has been kind of difficult for me lately, so I really wanted to I wanted to get back to it. I wanted to do this properly again, but oh, there we go. Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to get back to streaming at some point, but then like last week I just had such a stomach ache. This week I kind of had a bad headache, and so I've just not been in a great space to be streaming, but we're good now. So let me know if we are live. So I can get on with the show. This has been an episode I've been wanting to do for a while. Actually, we might actually transition in this. Man, I forgot. I really want to do an I really want to do an aviator. I think it's called an aviator. It's either called an aviator or an aviation. Man, that's dude, the fucking Ace Combat reveal. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for that. I'm so freaking excited for that. It's like I want to talk about that too, but I already named this the old-fashioned episode. We can probably just do it again, but regardless, like I just really wanted to talk about that at the very least. But yeah, I'm super excited. Isn't just a cocked. Drink. Tonight on Midnight Mixology. Right, there we go. We should be promoted. Am I live? Let me know if we are live. I think I'm live based on the Twitch feed. Let me check the YouTube feed real fast. If I hear my ugly voice, yep. Okay, we are good. We are golden. We are good. So, old fashions. Actually, let me go grab a cup for this because I really want to. I really want to explain this in the proper way. So just give me one more moment. I'm going to grab a cup real fast. A good old rocks glass, a good old-fashioned glass. It's what we're gonna use today, and it's to describe. Actually, let me make the basic old-fashioned, and then as I'm doing that, we can talk about it. So let us make the basic old-fashioned, and then we will discuss the old-fashioned. So we've talked about the old fashioned before. We discussed it. We made a whole bunch of old fashions, and we've described the history of it. It's not, despite the name, it is not the first iteration. It is in fact the last iteration of the basic whiskey cocktail. The whiskey cocktail had evolved from like a general idea of just like water, a spirit, sugar, and bitters. And then it evolves. People had absinthe to it. They had maraschino liqueur. They're now using simple syrup instead of raw sugar. They are using curacao. Oh, it's become a lot more fancy of a drink. But then some people wanted it back the old-fashioned way, and so we stripped it all the way back down to just the simple syrup still, bitters, and the spirits. And it turns out that's an excellent drink. So let's make that drink right now. I'm going to say roughly half an ounce of simple syrup. It's to taste, really. The more I make cocktails, the less simple syrup I personally need. But when I first started, I used a full ounce. So if you like having it to be sweeter, if that helps for you, if it makes it more palatable, well, do that. Add more syrup if you would really like. Let's make a very basic one at first. 2 ounces of Angostura bitters. It's pretty much the industry standard at this point. Typically, the old Americans in the 1800s will have liked rye. But people do love a bourbon too, and as do I. I have some very nice Four Roses small batch that I wanted to try. I haven't had a small batch in a while, and I decided to mix it up today, this time with a lot of my new bottles. So I now have Four Roses, and we'll get to it later, but that's a little bit of fancier Bullet. I know Bullet is a little bit of a lower tier one, but I quite like that one. But that's it. The old-fashioned. Just give this a stir. And it's a very simple drink. It's a very stripped down drink. But there's the old engineer's adage, which is to say, something isn't complete when there's nothing left to add. It's complete when there's nothing left to take away, and that's the old-fashioned. Like, we've been spending a lot of time making it fancy over the 1800s as bartending has really taken off, as mixology started to really evolve. But then, the people who wanted it the old-fashioned way might have had a point. One sec. I want to get the orange peel as well. Hello there, T. Hello. Just a twist of orange. Ooh, we got a nice peel of this one. Just squeeze the oils into there. And just drop it in there so we can continue to leach it. And we have the old-fashioned. Oh yeah, simple and perfect. Man, that Four Roses small batch is absolutely delicious too. It is pretty different from the Four Roses I'm used to. Four Roses tends to be on the sweeter end, and this still is. You get like You get like a strong, like, the bacon spices are different. They're, yeah, it's a kind of a different vibe. I think you get a little more nutmegginess rather than like cinnamon. You get a little bit of the crisp apple, or you get a little bit of that chocolate. And then you get like that peanutty note. Yeah, but it's weird. It's like it's less complex, but it's more interesting in a sense because those individual flavors are a lot stronger. I like that. So I was talking to some people at the liquor store when I was buying this, and so there was a lot of people there buying bottles for people on Christmas, and they didn't know what they were getting. They were just like, "Oh, I know this place has the more fancier bottles. Maybe I can get one of those." And so, like, the employees there are helping. I'm picking out stuff, and they asked me for some advice too, and I was like, "Get small batch." So the thing about bottles, so you can get the regular Four Roses, but then if you get there's all sorts of different terms. There's I was very excited for this because it's limited time, but we have very special bottling. Where is it? Here it is. Bottled in bond. I forget the exact definition, but it does mean the government stepped in on that one, and they like approved you to like do a little more with it. And so those are more concentrated. Those are like 50% alcohol instead of just the usual minimum 40%. And those are really, they tend to be of higher quality because it's like verified in a sense. And so I love me some bottled and bond bourbons. But the thing I wanted to point out with this Four Roses and why like I'm excited to maybe get more is small batch. So the thing about most alcohol brands is that like they have really big distilleries. They'll have thousands upon thousands of barrels. And then the flavor profile of, say, a Four Roses typically is going to be very consistent bottle to bottle. When you buy a Four Roses bourbon, is going to be very similar or almost all the time. And that's because they're blending all these barrels together to get it to that similar familiar flavor, which is very good. Four Roses is a very good bottle. When you get small batch or like single barrel or whatever, they are only taking from a smaller batch. They are taking it from a smaller amount of barrels, which means they can't really correct it as well. Which means that it is going to have a more unique flavor to it. And that means if you bought two of these, if you bought two of this small batch bottle, you might be getting two very different whiskeys. And that's exciting. That means that you can buy the same brand over and over and still get a similar experience. So that's fun. That's awesome. And then it makes for really nice drinks. It helped me actually to... wrong bottle. It helped me actually to restock on my infinity bottle. I had been sipping from it a little bit. It was starting to run a little dry. And so being able to add to the infinity bottle with these new bourbons was really nice. Hello, Chibity. Hello. I'll probably be chilling and lurking, given I'm doing some stuff with D&D stuff. Ooh, that sounds fun, Chi. Have fun with that. To quote HCD, the old-fashioned is a formula, and it works. Yeah, I mean, shamelessly kind of... some might say ripping him off, but I do... This spawns from a conversation I had online. So on Twitter, I made the Uma fashioned. It's an old-fashioned variant for Uma Musume, and I use tequila, carrot juice, some bitters, and simple syrup. And people were like, oh, that's closer to a margarita. It's this and that. And so I do think margarita is closer to what it is. I do think a margarita is closer to what I made. But then there were some people in the replies of that tweet that said it wasn't really an old fashioned at all because an old fashioned is supposed to be with whiskey. And indeed, what you think of as an old fashioned tends to be whiskey based, like this lovely drink we have here. And the next drink that I was gonna do was going to do that as well, but I do think people are so strict about, oh, it has to be sugar, whiskey, bitters. I think it's a formula. Much like how to drink. I think you can take the old fashioned and spin it to make. If the old fashioned is the whiskey cocktail or boiled down to the most simple formula, it also means you can expand on it again in very new directions, very modern directions. And one of my favorite cocktails ever in recent memory is actually an old-fashioned variant. And then also, you can make it with different stuff. We've discussed the gin old-fashioned before. Maybe we should try that as the next one. Let's I am kind of winging it right now, but I just wanted to talk about, like, the old fashioned is so much more versatile than people think. Hello, Insert Joka. Oh my god, it's been a while, right? Sorry I wasn't on Twitch for a while. I didn't stream for so long, and then, like, a family tragedy happened, and that actually motivated me to start streaming again. But I was YouTube only for a bit. But yeah, I'm back to Twitch and YouTube. I'm dual streaming to Twitch and YouTube again, and I'm super glad to have you back in some Joka. I remember I miss the good old days when we used to game and you used to be there. How you been in Insert Joka? A gin old fashioned sounds lovely. A gin old fashioned is incredible. It truly is incredible. In fact, let's do that one next. No idea why, but I watch alcohol mixing channels even though I don't like it. I mean, have you ever tried any of these mixed drinks? I promise you, if you ever end up getting the chance to try one of these, you might change your mind. Obviously, like, no pressure. Like there's very good reasons to never drink, to abstain from alcohol completely. But if it's the simple matter of I don't think it would taste good, trust me, try making an old fashioned. It's stupid simple. Try making in like a gin sour. It's super simple, and you'll find that it's actually it's a lot better than you think. Give me a sec. Let me grab another cup and another piece of ice, and let's make a gin old fashioned, because I remember when I made one before and it was divine. So be right back. Maybe it's just stuff that isn't bitter. That's fair. That's probably fair. Um, yeah, I would say like if you make an old fashioned for the first time, I would say with the old fashioned, with anything particularly um with anything that's particularly spirit forward, when you first start out, I would recommend honestly to start out with heavier pours of sugar. When I first made old fashions, I usually made them with a full ounce of simple syrup, and that made them so much more palatable to me. And then so what you would get is that it's very hard to describe in a way that doesn't sound super weird. But what you get is that it will taste a lot like basically sweet wood. It would taste like the way like wood smells, in addition to all the other complex flavors that you might not understand at first, but you won't understand them at first, but you will understand that, oh my gosh, this is a wonderfully complex like forest of detail and delicious flavor. And it's wonderful to explore. It's such a unique experience trying cocktails, and like how it always feels so pretentious about like, oh man, and like people describing all these layers and layers of flavor, and you can't understand that they're not just being pompous about it. It is true. Like you feel like all like 15 different flavors in your mouth as you sip on a cocktail, and it truly is marvelous, and it truly is wonderful just how complicated all of this is. And so if you're okay with drinking, and again, there's perfectly valid reasons to drink, there's perfectly valid reasons to abstain, but if your only hang up is the taste, I would say yeah, do it. You should give it a try one day. Okay, this piece of ice is like comically big. It is way unnecessary for how much we've added. But as you saw, we made it the exact same way. We used some simple syrup. We used Angostura bitters, and then this time we're using gin. I'm using a London Dry Gin Beefeater. Pretty good mid-tier gin. Nothing has changed other than now we're using gin, but I think it fundamentally changes it, because as a spirit forward drink, like what we're gonna do now is emphasize the gin instead of whiskey. Oh my god, it's so heavenly just licking the spoon after that way. Don't forget to pour a twist of orange. When you're first starting out, you would never think that this twist of orange does anything. But then once you try it with it and then without it, it makes such a world of difference actually. So here we go, a gin old fashioned. Nothing changed. We made it the exact same way, except now we've put gin instead of whiskey. Oh my god, it's good. I think I like the gin old fashioned better than the whiskey old fashioned. I'm not going to lie. Like it's just the same way that the bitters and the sweetness, the touch of sweetness, emphasize your whiskey and let you unlock like the peanut flavors, the oak flavors, the various baking spices, the fruit flavors. This time you get the juniper super strong. You get juniper, you get the various herbs, like the cooking herbs, like things you would base the steak in. Like, it's so... Oh, that is lovely. Oh my gosh. And that's the other thing about the old fashioned is we talk about it as like, oh, this is a stripped down version of the cocktail back in the day, like in early 1800s. And as the cocktail evolved into the improved whiskey cocktail and all that and made it more fancy, America was becoming a more whiskey based country. And then whiskey was the popular choice. So when we made the old fashioned, when we took the complicated improved whiskey cocktail and stripped it back down to the old fashioned, we tended to make it with whiskey. That being said, the first ever cocktails might not have the thing this is calling back to, what the old fashioned is referring to, might not have even been whiskey. People were using Genever at the time, which is like a prelude to gin. It is a very similar drink to this, where it had gin in it and you were emphasizing the gin in it, and it's so herbal and refreshing and delicious. And so this is like a prime example. Like, the old fashioned is very much a formula. You can swap out elements of this and it would still end up being a delicious drink. I really don't want to finish this because I do have other examples, and plus I kind of want to talk about other things, but teaching people about cocktails like this is also fun to be able to explore. So let's you know what? Wow, we're less than 30 minutes in and I've already finished 2 cocktails. Well, didn't quite finish this, but we're already on a 3rd cocktail. Maybe I should slow it down just a bit, just to tell you guys, like, sorry for not streaming lately. It's just been a stressful time for me. It's been a little bit... I've been lacking sleep. I've been very stressed out. I've been like super tired. And then like lately I've been having headaches, but I still want to make content for you guys. I still want to stream. I did feel some burnout. I did feel like I did feel that hopelessness again of like, oh my gosh, like it feels so easy for other VTubers. It feels so easy for other content creators. They just fart out something basic, like, I don't know, an ASMR or just a random gaming stream and get thousands of viewers, right? And then meanwhile, like, I spill my guts out to you guys about all my bartending knowledge and barely get views. But then I'm reminded again of just like, it's why like I never liked this downplaying of the whole like imagine your viewers were in the same room as you conversations. Like, oh yeah, well it doesn't matter, 4 viewers is not that much, and I'm not even sure we're at 4, but it reminds me again that the fact that anyone listens to me yammer on about all this stuff that I'm passionate about is it does inspire me. It does help me. It does remind me that like it is it's worth it regardless, as long as it's something I would have done anyways. Like I enjoy making drinks. I enjoy looking into the history of drinks. I love talking about like recipes and cocktails. Like I'm messing around with cooking these days. I just don't have the infrastructure to actually do cooking streams. But I mean, I would love to try some cooking streams at some point. And it's nice. It's just nice that anyone listens. And then I'm channeling that the whole concept of like, I would have done this anyways with doing shorts. I've been actually, I forgot to post it, but I have a short on the way, and it's very much just me making an improved whiskey cocktail. I would make one of those just randomly, but being able to talk about that on a short, just give a little snippet of like, oh, this is how you make it, I love it, etc. Like, I feel like that's still be good content for me. I'm making all sorts of other things. I'm going to make a cocktail now after this drink that is very different from a usual old-fashioned, but it's still an old-fashioned variant. And like, I do think it's very interesting to me, and I hope it's interesting to you guys too, because I figured out how to channel that. I do think I figured out how to channel that better. If I just record myself making drinks whenever I'm just casually making drinks, it gives me something to work on to just talk about, even if it's not on stream. And I think that might help me too. Because streaming is kind of an endeavor. It is... there's endurance to it, just because I'm never sure if I have like 3 hours worth of things to talk about. I definitely do today, given the whole Ace Combat thing that happened. Oh my gosh. I legit like broke down crying at work when I saw that announcement. But yeah, I don't know. I spent a lot of these past 2 weeks soul searching a little bit, because I still felt like I was stuck in a rut. But I think in struggling with that mentally, and struggling with just I mean, I'll just be honest about it. I'm needing to clean out my room right now. It's kind of a pigsty. But then I was thinking about it, like at some point I realized, okay, when I do finish this, I can rearrange things, I can make things better. It was starting to be freeing that I was removing a lot of the clutter. And then that's removed a lot of the clutter in my mind too. I was like, oh wait, what if I just record myself on my phone just making a drink and then talking over that later? And so yeah, that's what those shorts are going to be out. Have you ever watched Tasting History with Max Miller? I've gotten way into his content lately. That was actually something my editor recommended me to. Not specifically him, but like similar things like that, but in short version, like vertical, like shorts. He recommended me a bunch of like shorts creators where they would just do the thing they like doing, making food. Making like a historical drink, playing a video game that they're passionate about, and then just talking over it. It literally is that simple, of just like, okay, this guy loves playing Gran Turismo, and he's super nerdy about like the details, like, oh, if you should buy this super truck. It's actually way more versatile than you want, and if you tune it this way, it can compete even in the more difficult races. And you do need the downforce here, and it has these drawbacks here. But if you set your, I don't know any car terms to be honest, but if you set this and that to these parameters, you can make it win any race. And it was like super cool. And then all the while, the footage in the background is him just driving the car in various situations, and it's like, it was interesting just because it was like, okay, you get the explanation and the example at the same time, and I figured that would work with cooking slash mixology content. I know it works with cooking content because there's tons of cooking shorts out there, and I've been using cooking shorts to up my cooking game. And then so like being able to use being able to use that as sort of a reference to make a mixology shorts, I think might be a fun little project for me. We'll see how it goes. Excuse me. We'll see how it goes, especially with my first short on the way, but it feels like a good direction. It feels like a fun little direction I can go with this whole mixology thing. This gin old fashioned, I just killed it. It's so freaking good. Make a gin old fashioned. Make a gin old fashioned. It's so good. It's so simple too. Just make an old fashioned, but instead of whiskey, you use gin, and it's just you amplify the effect of the herbs. You get the amplified effect of the juniper berries. You get like the delicious, refreshing, like grassy smells and texture, not textures really, but flavors out of it. And it's so it is a wonderful and pretty unique experience to a cocktail, because other gin cocktails tend to be mixed up with other things that really obfuscate the gin. The gin is still a major factor in those drinks, but it's more like blended in with other things, whereas now with the gin front and center in a gin old fashioned, it really is just like a pretty unique experience. My cat is using my pillow as a warming bed right now. Hopefully he's comfortable. Hopefully he's not too smelly about it. Hello, Natsu. Hello, Midori. Midori, how are you? How are you? Yeah, we just made a gin we made a proper old fashioned and a gin old fashioned, because I really wanted to show people that like the old fashioned is a lot more versatile. And I've made a gin old fashioned in the past, and it was one of the best drinks I've ever had. And I kind of just killed it while talking about also like the shorts I've been working on recently. And yeah, I love messing around with formulas, and there's actually the next one we're about to make is actually a really fun iteration of an old fashioned that I've tried before. How are you been, Midoriya? I've taken kind of a break from social media as I tried to like soul search a little over the past 2 weeks, especially because I've been cleaning out my room. But I've been wanting to make. I'm starting to work on a lot of shorts content recently, and I've actually had a lot of fun doing that. I plan to release one pretty soon, probably after this stream, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've seen some of the stuff you're making, and man, it reminds me so much of like how much I have to learn. Like there's the whole like Dunning-Kruger effect, like okay, here's Idiot Mountain, and then like oh, you learn more, and like despite knowing more, your confidence is at an all-time low. I swear, like my Idiot Mountain is so much higher because like even as I learn more, I'm like oh yeah, I'm the shit. I'm so I got good recipes in mind, but then every time I see someone's recipe like someone with like a professional build like you or Zhao or whoever, like I'm like oh well, right, that's Dunning-Kruger at work. Like I still have lots to learn. You read lapis pillow. Did I combine it as lap pillow? I probably did. I probably did. Absolutely, traditional old fashions are great, but variations are better. Yeah, yeah. No, okay, okay. Let's make the next one because I'm I I'm excited to talk about this one just because like I remember discovering it on Anders Ericsson's channel, and ever since making it, it became, at least for a while, I've cooled off on it, but like at least for a while, it became my favorite old fashioned variant. It became one of my favorite cocktails period ever because it's so stupid simple. It is instantaneous is how quickly this cocktail comes together for how good it is. Um, Stop your creative to non-idiot mountain. I mean idiot mountain. So like the scale with the Dunning-Kruger effect is like, okay, so it's like, okay, the x-axis is your amount of knowledge and your y-axis is your confidence level. Idiot mountain is like way up here, but then you're still like very far to the left, and then so you don't actually have much knowledge, but you think you know everything there is to learn. But then there's a sharp dip before it starts rising. There's a sharp dip before it starts rising again, because of the fact that it's like, oh, you actually learn there is more to, like, let's say photography. Like if someone who likes to take a lot of pictures thinks they're very good at photography, but then they go to an actual, say, photography class, and then they learn from like professional photographers who have been here for a while, and then so like their confidence is up here because they are genuinely some of the best photographers in the world. But then you realizing that there's so much more to learn, you have a lot more knowledge, but then you're confidence dips like crazy because you're like, oh, actually I don't know shit. Even though you know way more than anyone else, you don't know, you feel like you don't know anything, and it takes a while to build your confidence back up as your skill level rises. For me, and then so they call this initial peak idiot mountain. The issue with my Dunning-Kruger is that I'm always like finding myself back on idiot mountain until the second that I see someone else's cocktail, because it's like, oh, I'm very confident. I practice a lot, I research a lot, so I feel like I have a lot of knowledge. But then every time someone like you who has like your actual bartending knowledge and whatnot, or like using complicated like infusions or the other formulas, it's like, oh wait, I'm actually an idiot. Never mind. Learning butterbeer is an actual real drink and not made up while we're seeing a video of how to make one was funny. Oh yeah, yeah, no, I really want to make butterbeer because that just sounds delightful. It sounds super fattening, let's be honest. Like beer is already quite fattening and you're adding butter to it and then heating it up, but it sounds absolutely scrumptious, absolutely delicious. You're a pro bartender in my eyes. I'm flattered. I'm flattered. Thank you. Thank you. Is that a heart? There we go. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyways, coolest old-fashioned version. Let's go. Let me go grab another cup. And also finding out why it's called that is you literally throw a stick of butter in a pot with ale and brown sugar. Yeah. And other baking spices, if I recall. But yeah, that's... before we had real mixology in the 1800s, like the way we used to spruce up our beers and our wines and whatnot was... they had to get very creative. There's Rattle School, I think it was. It's something the revolutionaries made during the American Revolution. And it's basically beer. It's beer and something else. And you just, all it is like you take a glass of beer and you like put some other stuff in it, like baking spices and other ingredients in it. I think like lime juice as well. And then you drink it and it just turns out it's really good. And ultimately you like threw a lime and some spices in it and mixed it together, but it's good. And like that's ultimately that's all it needs to be, right? Anyways, coolest old-fashioned go. Before I actually make it though, just because it has such a cool name, so what do you think an old outlaw from the Old West would drink? What sort of cocktail would suit them? And I'll give you a hint. And the name of the drink is a type of gun. I'll let you figure it out while I reach for the first ingredients, but let me know. Think of a type of gun that an Old West outlaw would use. And yeah, I'll give you a minute to think of that. I think it also had nutmeg. Yeah, it almost definitely had nutmeg because I swear, like in old-fashioned times, nutmeg was put on everything. Like back in the medieval ages, back in the Old West, back when mixology was budding in the 1800s, people put nutmeg on freaking everything. Revolver is correct. So this next drink is called a Revolver. Now this is a modern classic. This is technically not an old drink. It is a relatively new drink. However, it is a modern classic because it's made in the old way and is made in the old-fashioned way. Because it does follow the formula. Now, what is the formula for an old-fashioned? Well, it would be a sweetener, bitters, and then a spirit, usually whiskey. So for our sweet element, we are going to use Kahlua, a very sweet coffee liqueur. I'm going to say a 3/4 of an ounce, 0.75 ounce. I would love to think that Arthur Morgan makes this for himself. Oh, are you thinking it's Trigun? I'll be honest, I've never actually watched Trigun. Am I missing out? Should I watch Trigun? Now, for the wordplay, there we go. Bullet bourbon. Obviously, bullet because it's a revolver and guns. But I also think like the flavor profile of bullet combines very well with the Kahlua. And this is a very fancy, I've mentioned it before, but this is a very fancy bottle. Bottled and bond. I've never seen bottled and bond on the bullet. I think this is limited edition, so I was very happy to try this. I did try some already. It is quite a lot better than regular bullet, and I quite like bullet. Bullet reminds me a lot of my actual favorite bourbon, which is Old Granddad. Um, yeah, it reminds me a lot of Old Granddad. And then 2 dashes of different beers. I forget what the actual beers they use is, but I really like a revolver with chocolate bitters. Is it coffee and liqueur or is it coffee flavored liqueur? I would say it's coffee flavored liqueur because like Kahlua very much is its own unique thing. It's such a unique version of coffee liqueur that it deserves. If something calls for Kahlua, use Kahlua. Whereas, like, if you use other coffee liqueurs, they are a bit interchangeable. That being said, they're all also so unique that you really want to incorporate them. You do want to pick and choose thoughtfully, but they are a little more interchangeable. And that's it. That's it. It's just a Bulleit's bourbon and some Kahlua. Roughly 1 to 2. That being said, I wouldn't go the full 1 to 2. I would put a little less Kahlua to a little more bourbon. But yeah, that's it. Just bourbon and Kahlua with a little bit of beer splashed in. And you have yourself a revolver. Or as how I like to describe it. And cowboy coffee, even though cowboy coffee refers to a specific way to make coffee, but it's also, I like to refer to this as cowboy coffee because it feels more cool to think they put whiskey in their coffee. Oh, that is wonderful. Oh man, that is super great. Oh, I even forgot to put the orange twist. It would be improved by the orange twist, so give me a moment. Ah, crap. There's gotta be another strip in here somewhere, yeah. Alright. There we go. Oh yeah. Nope, that helps it a lot. And it was already hella good. Woo! Oh baby. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So like Kahlua is quite sweet. So it is basically coffee syrup, but it is pretty well, neutered is the wrong word, moderated. It is pretty well moderated by the Bulleit. You get that sweet coffee flavor, like that Frappuccino, that Starbucks coffee up front. But then it mingles very much with that like pretty harsh oakiness. Yeah, that like these like brash, like grassy notes into like a peanut oakiness. Yeah, and then you get like a wisp of like the essence of apple. And what I mean by that is like imagine an apple, the flavor of an apple, but you take away all the sweetness from it. Yeah. So you get the sweet coffee, but then it lingers into like the more pure bitter coffeeness as it transitions into like the peanutty, oaky, wispy, like fruit of essence of fruit of the Bulleit. And it's so interesting. It's so delicious and weird because of the fact that it's like you're getting something super desserty, and then you're getting something super strong, and then it's it's like it's hard to describe. It's sort of like if like whenever you add a creamer to coffee, it is like a sort of it is sort of like melded together in such a way that it's melded together in such a way that it is sweet throughout. What if when you sweetened your coffee, it was like it was sweet when you first sip it, but then it turns into like the bare black coffee at the end. And I actually do like black coffee on occasion, and so I like that feeling. But then of course it evolves further into like the bourbon. So it's like a two-step process of like Kahlua fade into Bullet. And it's super fun and interesting. It's a weird sort of evolution, because a lot of like ways cocktails evolve is that they blend together in a beautiful way. This is like going from one thing and then fading into the other thing. And then that's like a very unique evolution of this drink, of the Revolver. And it's ooh. Again, it's so simple. It's following the old-fashioned recipes, because Kahlua is a sweetener. Kahlua is quite sweet if you've ever had it. It's a pretty dessert sweet, let's be honest. But then, so that does satisfy the sweet elements. That does satisfy like putting the sugar in, the simple syrup in. We put in the bitters. We decide to use chocolate berries, and I do think the chocolate melts well with the coffee, and that's why you get such a nice tying in, because the bitters go well with the whiskey, and then they go well with the coffee, and then so I think that's why it transitions so beautifully from this sweetened coffee to this bitter spirit. It's so cleanly, is because it has those chocolate berries to mingle through it to get to the second phase cleanly. And it's super interesting, and it's super good. I should get me some more, but you know something, I'm gonna get a pot of coffee started, because I think I haven't had my coffee, and I actually need coffee. And Kahlua, I don't think has caffeine in it. Does it? Let me check. Yeah, I don't think it does. So give me a sec. I'm going to make myself some coffee. I'm just gonna get it started, but then we'll come back, and I'll continue to sip this. I'll continue to sip my coffee, and we can chat for a little while before. I think I do want to make one more old-fashioned variant, but I'm also like already getting quite drunk. One to booze, one to caffeinate. Oh yeah, oh yeah. What have you guys had lately? Just cocktails or just delicious food? I've actually, oh man, I've been going back to this Tuscan beef recipe for a while now. It's like, it's basically just like a marry me style pasta sauce, which is to say like your tomato paste, onion garlic, as is always, onion garlic, tomato paste, sun-dried tomatoes, heavy cream, and then and mix that with the meat of your choice. I've been using ground beef instead of chicken. It's usually chicken, and then just mixing that with pasta. And God, that's so easy and it's so good. And then you can like throw in some spinach in there, and it'll wilt instantly. So all it adds is like a little bit of texture, and it's like, oh, that's such a such a delicious dish, and it comes together in like 20 minutes. It's so easy to make, and that's something I've been making a lot, and it lasts for a while. One little box of pasta, like one little 1 pound box of pasta, will feed you for like a week. Mm, mm. Man, it's good. I've been experimenting with like a lot of pastas recently, just because pasta is like super easy to work with. I also find myself making a lot of peanut sauce. My one of the easiest things you can make is just like this peanut sauce where you put like peanut butter, soy sauce. I keep wanting to say Midori. That's not correct. Mirin. Uh, mi- Mirin, rice vinegar, and chili flakes. And you stir that together. You make a sauce, and then you just literally heat that up with noodles, and that's it. You can add meat if you want to as well, as always. And then it's just it's such a simple sauce, but it even if you use like American peanut butter, even if you even if you use like American peanut butter, even if you use like Italian pasta instead of like Asian noodles, it tastes so Asian. It's so good. It really is just so good. Midori would be wild in the sauce. Maybe a dessert sauce. I know people use a Grand Marnier in like sauces for desserts. Like someone made a banana pie. Banana pie? Banana bread, maybe. Banana bread or banana pie, but then they put like not Midori, Grand Marnier into the sauce, into like the glaze, and like you heat that up, you like burn off the alcohol, and then you like thicken it up with other stuff, and then you pour it over the banana bread or whatever he was making, and that sounds lovely. That sounds absolutely lovely. I would love to try a Grand Marnier sauce because I freaking love Grand Marnier. Sorry, give me a sec. There's like I just need to fix something about this bottle. Oh yeah, and the coffee's done. You'll have to give me a sec. Um yeah, but like I love me some Grand Marnier for a lot of reasons, some of them really sentimental reasons, but I like I will shoot Grand Marnier just at random sometimes just for fun. And it's I would love to try a sauce, like a glaze that had Grand Marnier in it. Give me a sec, let me go grab my coffee. I just realized actually. So, with my coffee in hand. So I usually drink my coffee black, but it's Monday night. It's my cheat day. So whenever it's cheat day, I like to pour some maple syrup into my coffee, and that does remind me that I. So I think there is one more, or so we've done the old fashioned, the classic old fashioned. I think I cut out for a second. We've done the classic old fashioned. We've done a gin old fashioned, which is the same thing, but so the which is the same thing, but with gin instead of whiskey. And then we did a pretty wild offshoot of the old fashioned in the revolver. Something someone created, but is very much still within the old fashioned formula. Now, I didn't have cerveza. I knew I forget something. I wanted to get some cerveza so we can make a Johnny Silverhand, which is another unique old-fashioned variant. If you've ever played Cyberpunk 2077, there's a tequila old-fashioned with a splash of cerveza and a chili rim. It's honestly a little overrated. It's not very good. How to Drink made an amazing version of it, but it's because he used a limited time cerveza that you can't find anymore. It's the way it would taste with a more accessible cerveza, like let's say a Modelo Dark, or it is a I know this sounds weird to say, because I'm just repeating it to you. It tastes like a tequila old fashioned with a splash of cerveza. What I mean by that is that it doesn't mix together at all. If you were to splash cerveza, which is Mexican beer, if you were to splash cerveza into a tequila old fashioned, what would happen is that it would just taste like those two things separately. The tequila old fashioned is great. It is a very unique old fashioned. You get all the various tequila flavors. I'm not good at noting tequila, so I wouldn't be able to describe it to you well, but do know it's very interesting. It's very tequila forward, and I'm not a huge tequila fan, but it is very good. And so you get all these unique flavors out of the tequila. But then when you add the cerveza to it, it doesn't mingle in any meaningful way. They play on completely separate planes. Like with a lot of cocktails we make, they blend together, right? So it's like this interesting evolution. It's like, oh, you get a little from this ingredient, a little from that ingredient, a little from this, a little from that, a little from this, a little from that, a little from this, a little from that. And then so you get this very unique combination where it blends together. Or even with the revolver here, like it transitions very well from one thing into the other in a way that feels like a natural evolution. The Johnny Silverhand, the tequila old fashioned with a splash of cerveza, tastes like the two things are moving in parallel, and that's a problem because it's not a very interesting flavor evolution. It just is the same thing, is the exact same thing if you were to just drink a tequila old fashioned and then take a sip from Modelo in a different glass or from the bottle. And then so you're just sipping, you sip them separately and you get the same experience as if you were sipping them together. You know what I mean? So I could have made a Johnny Silverhand, and I was actually thinking about that, but it's just not a particularly interesting cocktail because it doesn't work the way it wants it to work, right? If you have a fancier cerveza, it does. And I want to one day find a fancier cerveza so I can have that experience how to drink it. But until I find a fancier cerveza, I would not recommend a Johnny Silverhand. What I would recommend is something based on this lovely cup of coffee that I'm making right now. This lovely... So it's just coffee with some maple syrup in it, right? Well, so... I've gotten some weird looks from people when I talk about like, oh yeah, sometimes I sweeten my coffee with maple syrup. And like, it's never like super weird. It's like, oh, are you crazy? Or like, do we need to check you out or something? Like, no one thinks it's crazy. But people think it's weird, right? But then I explain to them like, well, if you have, I mean, I don't eat breakfast anymore, but, you know, like pancakes are a common breakfast food, right? If you have pancakes at the beginning of your meal and you'd like to slather a lot of maple syrup in it, and then you have a coffee on the side, let's say you like it black, so pancakes, lots of maple syrup, and then pancakes on the side. You'd be eating the pancakes, and then you eat a bunch of pancakes and maple syrup, and then you sip your coffee. And then you would... Technically speaking, you have combined maple syrup and coffee, right? And then so skipping the middleman and then pouring the maple syrup directly pouring the maple syrup directly into your coffee is actually quite a fine idea. And one day when I was thinking about that, I thought to myself, well, so we have this, which is a coffee liqueur and whiskey old-fashioned. What if our sweetener was instead maple syrup, and maybe we splashed the coffee as like our bittering agent? But I tended to like using Mr. Black. And so let's try that next after I finish my real coffee. A stout. Yeah, so the thing about the fancy cerveza that How to Drink Inc. used when he made his Johnny Silverhand is that he got a cerveza that was really high in alcohol content. It was like 10%, which is very high for a beer. Like, yes, that's pretty small compared to like the liquors. Like all these liquors are 40%, but like for a beer, beers are usually around 5%. So a beer that's 10% is quite high. And stouts tend to be 10%, yeah. But the thing about the Johnny Silverhand is it does call specifically for cerveza. And the issue is there are not a lot of Mexican beers out there that are that high, that are 10%. I've found plenty of stouts that are like 9% to even 12%. Mexican beers, like at most I've seen like 6%. And I know they exist because he used the 10% and cerveza in his video. I can't find any 10% cervezas. But you need a particularly high alcohol content because when you mix together the tequila old fashioned, 10% is not nearly enough to actually float it, but it will float enough that it will like blend into the drink and create a gradient. So like if this is the cocktail, then, and so let's say I've drank some of this, so this is actually pretty accurate. So this amount is what's cocktail flavored. You'll have a middle layer where it's both the cerveza and the cocktail mixed together because it's not high enough proof to actually float. But then you get a top layer that is all beer as well, all cerveza. And then so, his Johnny Silverhand, the perfect Johnny Silverhand, will have this perfect gradient of cocktail, 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 mix, cerveza, and it creates a cool. First of all, it creates a cool looking drink. Second of all, it creates interesting evolution because of the fact that now, with a stronger beer, the flavors mix together a little well. And then also you get like, okay, you get a sip of pure beer, then you get a sip of beer and mixed drink, and then you get the pure tequila sour from it. Tequila old fashioned from it. Johnny Silverhand, I love Twitch recommended. Yeah, unfortunately we haven't made a Johnny Silverhand. This is a revolver, so this was Kahlua and whiskey. But we were talking about the Johnny Silverhand and why like it's hard to make properly because you need a fancy cerveza. And thank you so much for the follow, Dark Guac Shrimp. Yeah, without a fancy cerveza, it's hard to make a good Johnny Silverhand. I was explaining like what if you have a fancy cerveza, that's what happens to your drink is that you create like a very interesting gradient. But if you have a if you just have like a regular cerveza, like a Modelo or Dark or something, it's not gonna float the way you want it to. That's why like when I've tried a Johnny Silverhand, it was actually like not very good. But a good Johnny Silverhand and requires a good Johnny Silverhand requires a really fancy cerveza, which might be hard to find. So Modelo doesn't work. What about Corona? Corona would be even worse because it's less alcohol content. You need more alcohol content. So the issue with Modelo and Corona is that they're low alcohol content. They're like 4%, 5%. The recommended from a video I watched, he didn't realize it was limited time only, but it was a limited time only cerveza that had 10%, which is ridiculously high for a beer. Most beers cap out around 8 or 9%. And then so like you need that really high alcohol content out of a cerveza specifically, which is exceedingly rare. But if you get that, it's a really good Johnny Silverhand. Right now I'm just enjoying some coffee because I forgot to have coffee this morning. I was wondering why I had a slight headache and was like, oh wait, I haven't had my coffee yet. Oh man, anyone playing Uma Musume? Man, the long CM is... I hate to say that it's been kicking my ass because I qualified for Group A easily. I qualified for Group A round 2 pretty easily. And then I qualified for Group A finals relatively easily. But it's also like, man, I am not confident in my team. Ooh. Yo. What's with all the emotes, Joker? Something fun happened? Oh yeah, I see now. It's all the Uma emotes. Hell yeah. You've been doing the CM? You've been doing the champion speed? I have a demon top gun. Like my Yano top gun is very good, but it's unfortunately just it's still not up to snuff with like the S rankers, and she can still win against S rankers, but it's like I don't understand how people can get to such high stat lines. I'm very proud of what I've made, and I do think I have a chance to win the finals, but it's gonna be hard this time. It's gonna be really hard this time. I've had to rebuild Gold Ship like 4 times. It's been very frustrating, and I think I want to rebuild her again, but like it's already round 2. Like, I think I'm just gonna let the dice fall where they may. I feel bad about that because, like, I feel like I can build a winner, but it's also like it feels greedy to hope for that, if you know what I mean. I don't know. So I think I'm just gonna start building for the next CM, but like, yeah, I really need to get lucky to win the finals this time. I've won the last 2, but like, I'm not nearly as confident as this one. The first time I felt very confident. I built a very demonic ogre cap. Man, I need to get caught up on Stingray. Ooh, we could do that. We can do like a reaction stream of like watching the Stingray together, maybe. I don't know. I want to for Virgo, the previous cup. So I wasn't super duper confident in my finals team, but I did think I had a race winning squad on me because I had 3 gamblers basically. I had a Taiki Shuttle and a Daiwa Scarlet, who both had insane high end but had to be specifically 3rd or 4th place for shooting for victory to work. In short, just like basically that skill will almost assuredly win me the game, win me the race, but it has to be like, it has to be timed up perfectly. And then a King Halo that had all sorts of good stuff. And so it was gambly, it was high risk, but then I had 3 rolls of the dice. So I was pretty confident in that one too. This one I'm not confident now, and I'm just hoping, I'm hoping for the best. Ooh. Okay. Let's make one more, and then we're gonna go full Zatsudan. First things first. I hope you don't mind. I really gotta use the bathroom. So be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. How are you guys? And I hope I haven't lost too many of you since I've been gone. How are you? Are we live? Are we back? So, before I realized I didn't have any cerveza, I was gonna make the Johnny Silverhand, but also like probably part of the reason I didn't end up getting any cerveza was because I did again. Unless you have a fancy cerveza, I don't think the Johnny Silverhand is very good. But there's still one more I wanted to make. So we made the classic old fashioned. We made a gin old fashioned, which is the exact same thing except we replaced the whiskey with gin. We made a very weird offshoot called the Revolver, which is very, very different in the sense that that instead of a sweetener we used Kahlua, and then we put different beers in it. Now let's go even further off the rails. I'm going to make what I'm gonna call a Canadian coffee. So it's you've heard of Irish coffee, where you put Irish whiskey into coffee. We're gonna make a Canadian coffee, but it's gonna be more of a cocktail, and it's not actually gonna use Canadian ingredients because I don't have Canadian whiskey. However, give me a sec while I grab one more glass. Alcoholism at its finest. Hello, Sven Hoffman lover. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we've been making a bunch of old-fashioned variants, and now we're gonna get a little weird with it. We're gonna a little strange with it. I've made this once before, and I did find it to be really good. It's just that, like, I never bothered to try making it again. So let's... This recipe is coming right off the top of my head. So it's not going to be particularly refined, but I think that's going to be the fun of it. So what I'm going to do is with what we talked about with my morning coffee is we're going to use putting maple syrup as our sweetener as part of our build. So I'm gonna say at least half an ounce, maybe 3/4 of an ounce. Let's start with half an ounce. Half an ounce of maple syrup. And I've had maple syrup in a cocktail before. It's very good. It's a very nice departure from normal syrup. Or even like Demerara syrup. I like Demerara syrup and its richness, but maple syrup adds like a different brand. Now, I don't have... actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I could get some fresh coffee, but I did want this to be a cold cocktail. So instead, I'm going to use like the Mixology equivalent of black coffee, which is to say, Mr. Black. And let's do a half ounce of that as well. So this is gonna fulfill both of our sweet and our bitter. Mr. Black is the closest thing to black coffee. Black coffee is quite bitter, so this will be nice. But Mr. Black is a coffee liqueur ultimately. It is a... It does sweeten it a little bit, and that's why I was scant on the maple syrup. But if we feel like we need more sweetness, we can always add a little more of these ingredients. If you're not sure, it's better to underdo it than overdo it, because as you can always add more if you need to correct. Now, I don't have any Canadian whiskey to properly make this a Canadian... to make this a Canadian coffee, as it were. But I do have rye. Now, Canadian whiskey is very rye flavored. When we had Prohibition and all the alcohol was deemed illegal, we imported a lot of our whiskey from Canada. And Canadian whiskey is very rye centric, and that's part of why America started to develop, and even before Prohibition, and just as the Canadian whiskey helped to create a hunger for a rye whiskey. Rye is a fairly popular variant of whiskey as well, alongside bourbon, and so Americans do love rye. And I think because of how rye-centric a Canadian whiskey is I think going with a rye makes it, at the very least, honors it enough with the maple syrup. Should we add additional bitters to this? Maybe. Let's say... Ooh, we could do a basic Angostura. Ooh, chili bitters sounds good. I need to try these weirder bitters one of these days. You know what? Let's have it as is, and if we want the bitters, we can add them. So let's stir this. This is a very awkwardly shaped piece of ice, so this is a little bit difficult to stir. The wash line isn't great for any of these drinks, unfortunately, just because I accidentally left out my ice, and so they all became much smaller, and so they don't fill the glass as well. So we don't have particularly sexy wash lines today. As it melts down a little bit, it got easier to stir. That's nice. And wow, we've spent this orange quite well, but I think there's still a good strip in here left. Let's see if we can grab that. It'll be good to hydrate me later too, because I've had quite a lot to drink today. A Canadian old-fashioned, a Canadian coffee, as it were. Ooh, yeah. I do think it can stand to maybe have one dash of bitters, maybe. Or it could stand to have a little bit more of the non-whiskey ingredients, but this is close. This is really close already. I think The chocolate berry sounds really good with this right now because of the coffee. Yeah, let's put just a single dash of our chocolate bitters again to pair with the coffee notes of this. Just give that a little bit more of a stir just to make sure we got that incorporated. Ooh. Ooh, I think that did it. I think that did it. Ooh. That did it. That did it. Yes. Ooh, that is delicious. You get the maple syrup. You get that unique sort of sweetness, that like breakfasty sweetness to it. And then that mixes with all the spiciness, all the more spiced rye in it, and then that blends well with the bitterness of the Mr. Black. But then the Mr. Black does have a little bit of sugar in it, so you get that subtle sweetness along with the coffee just underlining the entire flavor profile of the rye. Ooh, that is lovely. That is lovely. And this is such a different take on an old fashioned. I came up with this off the top of my head. Yeah, that is a weird old fashioned, but it's a very good one. And that's the point. We still have our bittering agents. We have a dash of bitters, but then we also relied on the coffee liqueur to provide our bitter element. We use maple syrup instead of a normal syrup, and that adds like a very like tree oaky, it's tough to say natural, but that's the word that's coming to mind. More natural sweetness to this, more breakfasty sweetness to this, and then you get the spicy rye. You get just like these baking spices all throughout, and then the strong rye flavor, the kind of like spicy woody flavor of the rye, with that bitter or coffee and just the touch, as the mere touch of sweetness underlining it, as like holding it up so that it doesn't sort of fall over. And it's ooh, this is a really nice and balanced cocktail for something that I just made up. And I think it's proof. I think this is proof that this formula works. It's proof that you can make an old-fashioned just based on anything, as long as you follow spirit, sweet, it's bitter. And it's why I wanted to accomplish with this stream, is because it's like, it's super cool being able to discover a lot of ways to make drinks like this, and it's how you can experiment with your own drinks. As long as you follow these formulas, you can try a bunch of weird or combinations and they will turn out good. And that was delicious. That's super good. Wow. Woo. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, so that's probably it for the episode, but I do want to Zatsudan for a bit, if you guys don't mind. I want to discuss a little more about just Uma Musume in general. I've talked about like my content strategy, and just to reiterate, like I did feel a little burnt out. I did feel a tinge of jealousy again. I felt that whole thing's like, man, I see these other creators, they can just put out anything they want and it will get thousands of views, thousands of likes on Twitter, like tons of money, just like, you know, oh, just act cute on stream and like people will super chat you, stuff like that. And it's like, it did start to bother me again. It did start to get me, but then I just got reminded, just like they earned the right to do that. Like all of us struggled at the beginning, and like like, as long as you love doing it, because it's like, yeah, I felt a little burnt out. I felt like this feels pointless. Should I even stream? But then I realized how empty I felt without the stream, just like not being able to talk with you guys. Oh, actually, that, yeah, in order to fill that void, because I did feel super lonely not being able to chat with you guys, not being able to stream last week, I did watch a bunch of movies last week, and so we could probably talk about that a little. But yeah, I know for a fact that like I would still be making drinks even if no one watched me. I would still be like having a bunch of drinks on Monday nights even if no one watched me. I would still be researching like cocktail history and new cocktail ingredients and ways to expand my recipes even if no one was watching me. And so being able to share this hobby with you guys on stream and to, as I'm going to get to on shorts, is satisfying to me. It really is. Like it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like someone cares. It makes me feel like it makes me feel like knowing that there's even in a handful of you that do like listening to me talk about this stuff, that makes me, that is interested in mixology the way I am, even if it's just like as a podcast in a way, or just as a friendly, even if you don't drink yourself, or just like listening to someone else's hobby. It feels good that someone is interested in this kind of stuff at any level. And so I'm glad that I can do this for you guys. And so that's why I started to make shorts. I haven't posted the first one yet, but I have a first one ready. And it's just me making a drink, as I always do, just casually with no one watching. But I decided to record it. And then I just talked over it like, hey, this is an improved whiskey cocktail. It's like the old fashioned's father, and just listing the ingredients. And it's like being able to share these recipes with people and hopefully have you guys make it yourself, or be interested in the history, or be interested in like untangling how it's made. It's not just bartender magic. It is actually pretty simple. Is cool to me. And so that's something I've been working on. It's just recording myself making a bunch of drinks, and then like explaining the history, either explaining the way it's made or explaining the history. And I think that might be fun to see. I'm starting to work on a bunch of shorts, and hopefully we'll see. Maybe those take off. Maybe those go somewhere. And even if they don't, like, they will have been fun to make. Yeah, movie watchers. So I finally saw the movie that it's that one meme. The what's that meme? First Time. With James Franco looking to the side and going first time with a rope around his neck. And like God, so it's called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. It's on Netflix, and boy, that movie's a trip and a half. It's not a normal Western in that it doesn't follow just one story. It follows 6 different stories, and they all have a beginning and end. They're not like intertwined. They're just like, okay, here's one story, now here's another 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 story. And so it's just 6 stories back to back to back to back. And it was a trip, man. It was so weird. It was so fun. I love Westerns. And it was really weird because it was like it was a different genre of western. It was like the ridiculous western, the like super over exaggerated western. You got like the super grit, the super melancholy western. You got the super hopeful western. You got the deeply ironic western. It's like all sorts of different crazy stories set in the old west, and it was really fun to watch. And then I also watched The Longest Yard. I remember there was one stream. It was the beer chugging stream where I watched where I was just explaining in a football game that I was super into, and it was yeah. I've been wanting to watch football movies for a while, but I just haven't had the. I wasn't sure or like where to dive in. I remember Longest Yard being something people talk about a lot, and so I finally watched that movie, and that was a really funny movie as well. You can tell it's a little bit lost to its era with like the casual transphobia on one scene, but it was a great movie regardless, and it was super cool. It was super interesting, and it was super funny too. Ooh, and I just it's it was a fun slice of history because I know a ton of people will love these kinds of movies. And I just it was a great way for me to relax. It's like, oh man, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of it. There I finally understand some of the like football movie cliches too, because of the fact that like a lot of these football movies are unrealistic, and obviously so, but even more so when you think of like, man, why are you under censor with under 2 minutes ago, stuff like that. And then so it's a weird dichotomy of how they handle these movies because of stuff like that. There's like no football movies that actually focus on it. The best one is Waterboy though. Oh my god, I love the Waterboy. I have seen Waterboy. Waterboy was fantastic. Waterboy was hella funny. I love that they got the actual Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor is one of my favorite football players of all time. And they got the actual Lawrence Taylor, who's like one of the best defensive players of all time. And one of the things he's famous for was being a crackhead. He was caught smoking crack while he was a professional football player. And and then he's in that movie, like talking to a bunch of kids and like interviewing the water boy and like doing it. But then the water boy himself is like, you know, a little bit special, a little bit weird. And he says some weird shit or does some weird shit. And then Lawrence Taylor goes, "Remember, kids, don't do crack." Oh my god. The Longest Yard also had multiple real football players in it too. That was hella weird because I remember watching it. And then I saw like, wait, hold on. Is that Michael Irvin? Is that the actual Michael Irvin? Michael Irvin was like a legendary Cowboys player. It's like, that is Michael Irvin. Holy shit. Can't remember if it's a Big Show or Macho Man Randy Savage, but they're in it as Captain Insano. Wait, which one was that? Was that in Waterboy? I'm sorry for all the slurping sounds. I kind of need these electrolytes. Yeah, when Adam Sandler calls into that TV interview, it's for a wrestler. Oh, okay. So I know there's a Lawrence Taylor interview. But I don't think it was actually named Lawrence Taylor. He was called Lawrence Taylor. And then there was and yeah, I don't remember the Captain Insano bit, but I wouldn't be surprised by it. Oh gosh. He makes fun of his voice pretty early on. Oh, I see. Maybe I'll need to rewatch it. Hopefully it's on Netflix. I want to watch all those old football movies. Hopefully the eating sounds are not too bothersome to you guys. Woo! I should probably grab a water too. Yeah, let me grab a water and then we can discuss things further. Because I want to yap your guys' head off for like 2 hours about Ace Combat. Next topic. Ace Combat 8. Holy shit, they announced Ace Combat 8. I'm so oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, you know what? Okay, hold on. Just hold on for a bit of a moment. Okay. Just a bit of a moment. I just want to listen to this for a second. Can you hear it? Can you hear it, chat? Here comes the snow. Oh my god. Oh my god, all the comments are like, we are so back. We shall hit the skies again, my fellow violets. The Ace Combat 8 is real. It's time. We're so back. Oh my god. Yo, buddy, still alive? And thank you, friend. See you again in Ace Combat 8, buddy. Solo wing pixie lines. Okay. Have you found your reason to fight yet, buddy? Those who survive on... Damn it. Those who survive a long time on the battlefield start to think they're invincible. I bet you do too, buddy. Let me get to my serious face on, actually. Let me, there we go. There's no mercy in war. People live and people die. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry, I'm just looking up Pixie's lines because, man. Okay, let's do this in order. Here comes the snow. Those who survive a long time on the battlefield start to think they're invincible. I bet you do too, buddy. Can you see any borders from here? What is borders giving us? We're going to start over from scratch. That's what V2 is for. It's pretty ironic, buddy. A couple dogs like us fighting in the last battle. There's no mercy in war. People live and people die. That's all there is to it. You fired up? Come, shoot me down. It's time. Fire away, coward. When we face each other, we can finally see our true selves. There may be a resemblance, but we never face the same direction. It's so loud for me. I'm gonna turn it down. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, so obviously that's Ace Combat 0. You mentioned it's in, so hopefully Ace Combat A isn't boring like 7 was. God, yeah, 7 was disappointing. It wasn't that it was bad. Let me get that out of the way. Let me just get that out of the way. I don't think Ace Combat 7 was bad. Oh, you're hanging out? Well, it's fine. I can continue talking to myself about Ace Combat this whole day. Sorry. Gonna head off because I have work later. Yeah, sleep well, Insert Joker. Sorry I started stream so late, but I just want to yap about Ace Combat. Let me know in chat if you've played any Ace Combats, because boy, I want to bounce off you because I can talk so much about Ace Combat. It is my favorite game series of all time. I legitimately broke down crying at work when I heard that Ace Combat 8 was announced. I was like, oh my fucking god, we are getting an Ace Combat 8. Holy shit. And then I'm just slowly tearing up, and I feel like I have to let out a small sob of happiness. It's so, it is a series that is near and dear to my heart. It's such a beautiful series. I think of it the same way hardcore Metal Gear fans, and I love Metal Gear. I'm pretty hardcore Metal Gear fan. But something about Ace Combat is particularly special for me, and it's it's so awesome. And then so let's go for it. So yeah, I do think 7 was a little disappointing. I think it just failed on like delivering on like the superhuman nature of some of the piloting because a lot of Ace Combat is like this hero villain story of like, okay, you are the hero, you're the ace of the good guys, quote unquote. And that's what's also great about Ace Combat is it plays with the concept of good guys and bad guys. Everyone, including your enemies, are just fighting for their ideals, fighting for what they believe in, and no one is wrong per se. Like everyone has valid ideas of how society, of how humanity, the nature of humanity, of like ultimately just everyone just wants the war to be over, for there to be peace. But then no one can agree with what that peace is supposed to look like. And so we fight over these ideals while politicians discuss it over meeting rooms. And so we have to kill each other. And it's a very like... polarizing is the exact opposite word. It's like it's a very humanizing experience. It's like because of these disagreements we have to kill, we have to die, as opposed to just like being able to sort this out rationally, which is a big thing with the Zero. And then it's like the storytelling of Ace Combat is so awesome because like in Ace, I'll be honest, I haven't played anything from 3 and before, but I played the Holy Trinity 450. I never got to play 6 because I never had an Xbox 360. I played I wanted 7 so badly that I bought a PS4 just for Ace Combat 7, and I'm going to buy a PS5 just for Ace Combat 8. So I played 450 and 7, a bit of Infinity, but I never really got super far into Infinity. I played at least one of the PSP ones. If there were multiple, I don't remember. And I played Assault Horizon, which I think Assault Horizon is a bit overhated. It is not. It is a very fun game. It is a very interesting game. It is not an Ace Combat game. It is a Call of Duty game that happens to be about jet fighters instead of soldiers, instead of like on the ground troopers. That's the way I view it, and when you view it from that lens, it's actually kind of fun. Yeah, it's actually kind of awesome, in fact. So where was I? Oh yeah, so like Ace Combat 4, the way it's told is from not necessarily the enemy's perspective, but from the enemy's side. It is from like a young boy who followed the Yellow Squadron, and he lives on the enemy side. Right? He's like a civilian and on the enemy side reporting like what's happening. It's like, oh, Yellow 7 launched with engine trouble. Yellow 13 was that they really humanized Yellow 13 as a character, even though he's like one of your main enemies and so hard to take down. You can't take him down until the second to last mission. And just it's the whole story being told from the other side and humanizing your enemies, making you realize that like these people are human beings too, with their own ideals. They aren't just like mindless villains. They are just people fighting for what they believe is right, and what they believe is right clashes with what you believe is right, and instead of being able to settle this amicably, you have to try to kill each other. Ace Combat 5 was very anti-war, just like you're fighting, but like everything you're doing feels scummy. You don't feel good about anything you're doing, and you become the Rosgri Squadron to like fight back against all this. You're an independent squad now, trying to correct the evils by like taking down these corrupt allies, these corrupt enemies, and just trying to bring the war to a much swifter close. You in Zero, you Pixie has this crisis of loyalty where or he just doesn't see the point of fighting so hard, of all this mindless death, of people, of Belka nuking itself of as a matter of pride to keep the enemies away from their homeland, and just the horrible atrocities of war causing him to betray the allies and create his own to join the terrorist organization. Like, and then that's the issue with 7. I think it was, on one hand, it was like very much more clearly defined that there was like goodies and baddies. Not necessarily. There was still a good like balance of like what's good and what's bad. Let me switch to spear. Magic spear 2? Was it 2 or 1? I forget if it was 2 or 1. And let's hope that autoplay doesn't take me into weird directions. A weapon to surpass Metal Gear. Indeed. Yeah, I mean, Ace Combat has like ridiculous like super weapons as well, just like Metal Gear. I think the thing with Ace Combat 7 is, so they introduce the big bad. Let me get his full name correct. He deserves that. He deserves that. Mihaly, full name. Mihaly Dimitru Margarita Cornelio Leopold. God damn it. Okay. Mihaly Dimitru Margarita Cornelio Leopold Blanca Carol Ayana Ignatius Rafael Maria Nikedas A. Shilash. Mihaly was such a cool bad guy, and so I do think alcoholism to surpass Metal Gear. Maybe. Imagine if they got my ass in the air. Did you put a curse on me? I think I put. It will feel like I put a curse on you if you ever faced against Mihaly. Mihaly was one of the coolest bad guys in all of the Ace Combat series, and that's why Ace Combat 7 was so disappointing. They had the strongest bad guy. And they had 2 of the best missions ever. Like, in the whole series. So I do think Ace Combat 7 pales as an overall campaign, as an overall story, compared to Holy Trinity. I think I tend to like Ace Combat 5 better, but the more I think about it, I think Ace Combat 0 had more of an impact on me. I think the overall average, Ace Combat 0 is the best game. I think specific missions of Ace Combat 5 were better. And then there are various parts of it make it arguable that it's the best game. But in Ace Combat 7, I think Ace Combat 4 is relatively weak compared to 5 and 0, but it's still pretty good. But Ace Combat 7, like, it's so close to being in like God tier, but it just falls flat with the way it tells its story. It's still excellent here. It's still one of the best as games ever because it's an Ace Combat game. But it's like, so your first duel with Mihaly is one of the best. Okay, the issue is it's only great once. Once you've played that mission once, you kind of solved it. But the first time you fight against Mahali, it is the period is the most epic boss fight in the Ace Combat series. Period. You have to fight in this really tight canyon against this ace who is all over your ass in a thunderstorm. So your controls get all whacked up. You get hit by thunder and it like temporarily stalls your plane. It's so stressful, but it's so epic fighting against Mihaly. And then like you manage to get a few licks on him, and then as the story like the fight progresses, it's like, I missed. Interesting, because every time you've seen Mahali before this point, and you've seen him twice, he completely decimates one of your allies. It's the point where she basically starts shitting herself. It's like, the weak Ian, help, and you hear the lock on alert, but you don't hear the missile alert. She's just locked onto this whole time, but Mihaly refuses to fire until he's 100% sure he's gonna kill you. And then so like he finally fires, and there's no warning. Just Brownie dies right instantly. Just instantly, Brownie dies the moment he fires his missile. And then Champ goes down because he's the one chasing Mahali. Mahali's chasing him, and then Champ does a Pukachev's Cobra to get behind Mahali, and it's like, oh, I got you now. And then Mahali does like a somersault to instantly kill old Champ by just shooting a missile directly into his cockpit. And then his allies, wondering why he just chased them down for so long, was like, you could have done that sooner. I want to understand the enemy. And then they start chasing down your allies, and you have to stop Mihaly to be able to protect your allies. And then as you fight him, like, he's so sure he's got you. So it's like you fight him, and then if he fires a missile at you, it's like Fox 2. And obviously, especially because it's relatively early game, it's not that hard. But it is very stressful to face off against an ace this early in the game when you don't have particularly good jets yet. And then when you dodge his first missile, he's like, the missile missed. Fascinating. Interesting. Because he only fires at you if he thinks it's guaranteed it's a kill. Lore-wise. Obviously, the AI, like, it's just going to shoot at you when it thinks it's a good shot. But in lore, he only shoots at you if he thinks it's going to kill you instantly. Or, like, if you do get hit, but it doesn't kill you right away, he's like, enemy hits. Is he down? No, he took it in a non-essential area. I'll teach you how to do that when we get back. Or like when you land a hit on him, like you'll hear from his cockpit, it's like warning. And then like he's much like most aces in the game, he's flying impossibly. He's doing such tight turns. He's doing like somersaults. He's doing such crazy maneuvers that would like make you pass out if you actually attempted them, just because of how stressful it is on the body. But he's doing this, and he's breathing like, and then. But like at some point, one of his allies like, are you okay? Are you okay, So One? What's your status, So One? My status? Well, I'm feeling rather excited because it's the first time that someone has posed a challenge to him, and then it's like they build him up to be such a badass, such a cool character. But they ruined that the spoilers for the end of the game. They ruined that by not having him be the last boss. So you do fight him again in an XO2, which is an experimental craft. It's like you get that in Ace Combat 4, and you get that in the other games by like, oh, you have to beat New Game Plus on the hardest difficulty with these conditions. Like, it's ridiculously hard to get this aircraft, but it's like ridiculously overpowered. You do get to fight him near the late game in a duel with this XO2, and it is a pretty epic fight, but it's the last time you fight Mihaly, and it's not the last boss. And so that's kind of a shame, because the thing about it was, so he's considered the best pilot in all the land, and they're using his data to train AI. Kind of relevant these days. They're using his flight to train AI to create the perfect drone army, because all of the drones are going to be outfitted with his flight data. So every single drone that you're fighting is going to be as good as Mihaly, and that's terrifying. That means whoever controls the drones wins air superiority every time. And then so it's a very epic fight. It's a very interesting fight, and it's this is not appropriate for the that's not appropriate for what we're talking about right now. What's another good Ace Combat one? We listened to Magic Spear. Let's do Daredevil. Sure, and we'll do the extended version. Oh, I should tell the story of this one too, but we'll get there. In fact, I'm gonna turn it up. I'm gonna turn it up for you guys. Just so you know, I'm hydrating. Whew. Whew. Okay, so where was I? So they're training these drones, and so the last boss is actually these two drones. I forget what they are, but they're like I forget the names, but essentially they're like grim fairy tales, and then they're named after like the German names or like the European names for these German fairy tales, and they are insanely tough. Imagine that first boss fight I mentioned with Mihaly, but now there's two of them, and they're like twice as good. So, twice as good as the first time you fought him, but there's also two of them, and so it's this ridiculously hard fight. Like, they're shooting down all your allies as well, and so it's just a 1v2 against two like super powered Mihaly clones. And then like you shoot them down. It's epic, and it's such a hard fight battle. That fight also has its own theme music, which is related to the one we're listening to right now. Maybe we'll listen to that one afterward. but it just doesn't feel the same because I know what the point is. It's like, okay, they're trying to say like, oh, Mahali is gonna rule the skies now. You mean Hugin and Moonin? Yeah, am I wrong? Like, what are those referring to again? I know there's a lot of like references because I know Ace Combat Zero was a lot of Arthurian references. Ace Combat 4 was like, was it Greek myth? I forget if it was Ace Combat 4 was Greek myth. It was some kind of myth. I know for a fact Ace Combat Zero is a lot of Arthurian legend because it's like, oh yeah, you have to. One of the super weapons is Excalibur. The final fight is a joust. Norse mythology. Oh, it's Norse. Okay, that's what it was. Norse mythology. Odin's two crows. Okay, got it. Yeah, sorry, I had that mixed up. Yeah, that's. Yeah, and so you had that epic fight, but then it's like it feels cheapened that it's not actually against Mihaly, because because the way I would have ran it if I was in charge, I think it would have been epic if like instead of Hugin and Moon, Mihaly comes back for a final time. Hugin is the crow of thought, and Mugen is the crow of memory. Oh. You know what? Okay, that makes sense for the story they were trying to tell. But it still feels wrong that you don't fight Mihaly in that final fight. You are fighting someone you are fighting drones with AI trained on the skills of Mihaly. And then it's just I feel like it would have really emphasized the point that these are because as one of the lines in when you first fight Mihaly is like oh yeah, Mihaly used to be the ruler of his land, of this small country, but then it got overtaken by Eurasia, but they recruited him into his army, but he has no loyalty to his old country, his kingdom. Like the most important line, his kingdom is the sky. Because he's the best pilot who has ever lived in the lore of this game. And then so it's like, yes, because the AI has Mihaly's flight data, in a sense they did that, but I think it would have been even stronger if Mihaly himself, after you defeat them, is like, no, those drones can never match up to me, and so he's actually your last boss. And I feel like it would have been more powerful if like you had to fight Mihaly. The greatest pilot of all time is the cameraman. So true. I think, but especially after you say the crow of thought, the crow of memory, I do think that works better with it, because the final part is that it's not only been recording Mihaly's data, it's recording your data, because you were able to defeat Mihaly. And so as it's recording your data during its fight, it has created the perfect ace of both Mihaly's skills and your skills, and one more drone has snuck into the tunnel to upload its data to the mainframe, to the tower, to the space elevator. And if it manages to successfully upload, it means every drone in the world is going to be as good as you and Mihaly combined, and they will be an unstoppable air force. You must take down that drone before it's too late. And that's when you get the tunnel section. It's super epic. It's super awesome. Moonin and Hugin. Am I even pronouncing that right? Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm just pronouncing them in the Japanese way. Munin and Hugin are the fitting names because they are flying the ADF 11F Ravens, which are also designed after the drone spy planes. Oh, interesting, interesting. I didn't know that. They basically gather information for Odin and report back to Odin like spy drones. Yeah, it's tough because I do think Ace Combat 7 is a good story. It very much, it has its epic moments, it has its epic boss fights, it has cool missions, it has a pretty damn good storyline still. It just didn't hit nearly as strongly as Ace Combat 5, as Ace Combat 0, with like its massive plot twist, with its massive like epic showdowns at the end, with its big old set pieces. I think it's because we go back to the space elevator too many times, because it's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it didn't have that same impact, despite the fact that it had everything going for it to be an epic Ace Combat game. So, yeah. It was a tad disappointing, but it was awesome. And I have to say this right now. I am a little bit of a fake fan. I still haven't finished the Ace Combat 7 DLC. Partly because I wanted to do it on stream, but I can't game on stream right now. One of these days, hopefully I make it to like a big corpo one day, because know this. I promise you this. Write this down somewhere. Do this. If I ever make it into like a VTuber corpo, you'll know it's me. Other than my voice, obviously. You'll know it's me because I'm going to do a piece of content I've been wanting to try, and I did do this, but there was only like one viewer at the time. A piece of content I want to try is Ace Combat. It's permadeath. So basically, I have to finish every Ace Combat on Ace difficulty without dying. That's how confident I am in playing Ace Combat. I'm allowed to fail missions, but I can't die. If I get shot down or crash, we restart. But I can restart missions if I just fail objectives, because some of these objectives are really hard. Or cheesy, like, oh, you have to cheese the game a little. Yeah, that, like, I really want to do that for one day, and so like, we can talk about then, and then also we will get through at that point, if I haven't already, as Sakatoku no Natsu, is the VTuber you see now. At the very least, and if and when I ever get to make it into a big corpo somehow, I definitely want to be able to I want to be able to do that, and then so I can finally show you my reaction to the DLC for the first time. Mihaly is a reference to the Archangel Michael, and it's even more fitting because our character is called the Dragon. Are we called the Dragon? I thought we kept being called Three Strikes, unless there's like a dragon that has like 3 scratch marks on its thing. Because at some point, like you have like a claw mark, and then you become 3 strikes on your. When you become a criminal, but then you decide to keep your 3 strikes as like a claw, like I guess it is a dragon's claw. Okay, we're back. You get back your dragon. You you get back your 3 strikes, and now you're like, I guess it is a dragon's claw of like someone clawing 3 scratches into the back of your wing. Is that what it's referring to? Which can be so even more faint since our character is called Dragon, which can be a reference to Satan, so Archangel or Michael versus Satan. Right. I mean, I know there's those references because I know Rosgreaves is basically like a demon, right? Rosgreaves was a demon who actually helped restore things in Ace Combat 5. In Ace Combat 0, you were referred to as the Demon Lord of the Round Table. And then yeah, in 7, like there was Norse mythology references everywhere. Can we just say about this one too? I'm sure you know about it, Sven, but for anyone who's lurking, if you've never heard this song before, this song is called Daredevil. It's played during the climax of one of the most important scenes in Ace Combat 7 before the final boss. Before the final missions. But it's such a cool and epic scene. It is this song, and you can tell with the build up and with this opera, I don't think it counts as opera, but like that swelling of music and then the vocalization of this woman. So when you hear that vocalization of that woman, and that's the precise moment that the shields go down on the airbird. The airbird is like one of these enemies that you can't defeat all throughout the game. It has this shield that is like impenetrable. It has killed hundreds of your allies. It is such a dangerous weapon, but you finally manage to make it vulnerable. And then when you finally make it vulnerable, that's when the music swells up. You hear this lady singing, and then this whole section of the song you've been listening to for the past minute or so is when you can actually take it down for the first time. And important to note about that, because it's so perfectly tied to the scenes. It's so perfectly tied to this mission. Fun fact, and once again, I'm pretty sure you know this, Sven, but for anyone lurking in chat right now, or indeed if you're watching this VOD, they delayed Ace Combat 7 to make sure this song was perfect. They delayed Ace Combat 7 to make sure this song was perfect. I've never heard of any other game in doing that. So they wanted to make sure the soundtrack was just right for this moment, to make sure it had the proper impact, the full brunt of the impact. And this is why I struggle to say Ace Combat 7 is bad. It's just disappointing because it's still great. It's still excellent. It's just not as good as the Holy Trinity. And but it's like scenes like what happens in this song that's so powerful, so good, that you can't hate it. You just can't hate Ace Combat 7. It's so there's so much love put into the Ace Combat games. And yeah, I'm so excited for Ace Combat 8 now. I have so many memories of Ace Combat 4, of like playing it when I was super duper young, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, never being able to beat it, coming back to it when I was in high school. So I quit. I remember like I played it when I was like 8 years old. I couldn't finish it. I got like halfway through the game and just could never finish it. I come back in high school when I'm like 16 or 17. I played through it again because I was like, oh, I remember being stuck on this game. Let me play again. And it was so interesting and it was so much fun, and I'm just getting through it and having such a good time. And then so I decided to get the other games. I wanted to try Ace Combat 5, Ace Combat 0. 5 is such an awesome story. So cool, so epic. 0 is like really diving into that political ideology. And that's another thing. It's like Ace Combat and indeed Metal Gear Solid is like examples of why politics in video games are good, just as long as they're fictional politics. Like, don't use it to like really shallowly push a message. Use it to like really show the humanity of war, to really show like it is ultimately a clashing of ideals. No one is really the bad guy in war. The only people who suffer are the citizens. And then so it's really just it makes you think, it makes you feel, it really gets you emotionally invested knowing that even your enemies are not bad people. And it's such a cool story, the way they tell it with all this political intrigue. Yeah, so you get Zero with all its political ideology, and Ace Combat 5 had a lot of that too. Ace Combat 7 was a little more black and white, but it's still like you get why the quote-unquote villains are the way they are. You get why you see a lot of sides of people as you get betrayed as the Spare Squadron, as you get you meet with Counts, who is like this, who is in the penal squad as well, but then becomes your ally. You see the duality of people who like turn their backs on you because they thought you were the one who shot down the president. All this like emotional and psychological thrill within your epic dogfighting simulator is so cool. And I'm just so attached to the game. Like I mentioned it, I bought a PS4 just for Ace Combat 7. Obviously I bought other games and I've played other games on my PS4. But I specifically bought my PS4 to play Ace Combat 7. And I'm going to buy a PS5 specifically to play Ace Combat 8. There's no two thoughts about it. Like it really is just that near and dear to my heart. Like I must experience it. It'll also give me an excuse to play Metal Gear Solid Delta. So there's that. And a few other games that I've been missing out on. But mainly for Ace Combat 8. I played through all the Ace Combat games with a realistic flight machine and making it feel all the turns and pressure. It was one of the most cool things I really want to do that someday. I want to get a hot ass so that I can like an actual flight stick, so I can actually like fly the plane, because I only ever used controller, so I'm like playing on the controller. And I got really good at that. Ace Combat is the only game I've ever been like actually good at. Like I can play on Ace difficulty. I can play on the hardest difficulty and think it's fairly easy. I enjoy challenging myself with like cannon aircraft only. I'll do all the crazy challenges with it. But it's just like, I really want to use a hot task one day. The actual... What did that stand for again? HOTAS. Something in end stick. I forget what it stands for. It's also a funny name. Because someone mentioned this, it was like things with funny names that we can't help but laugh at. It was like there's they make it for racing games. It's called the Thrustmaster, and when you think about the name Thrustmaster, it's actually quite funny, because it's like, oh wait, that's It's actually a weird thing, but it's like they make all the realistic like driving like steering wheel controllers for sim racing games and the pedals, and even like the more advanced stuff if you're willing to shell out the money for like a full-on seat that reacts to like the G-forces and stuff. And it's like, what was it, hands-on thruster and stick or something like that. Orange shirt, hot hats. And it's like, oh, for God's sakes. But yeah, the hot hats controller sounds really fun, and I've never been able to experience it. God, I don't understand how you do G turning in that. So first of all, just by controls, because on controller, what you have to do is brake and accelerate at the same time. And if you press both of those buttons at the same time, you can G-turn, which is to say make those impossible maneuvers the boss enemies can use. So you instantly turn, but you shed tons of speed and you risk stalling instantly. And then I don't know how you're supposed to do that with a hot hat system, because when you use the thruster, it's only ever on or off. You can't do both unless there's a button that lets you G-turn. Is there a button that lets you G-turn? G-force is fucking painful and uncomfortable. Well, yeah, the G-forces our character would use when doing a G-turn, or indeed any of the bosses who do G-turns, are like impossible. Our bodies would not be able to handle it. You attempt one of those turns and you pass out, and crash afterward because you're passed out at the stick of a jet plane. Banking the aircraft, pulling back on the stick and create vertical lift puts you into the turn, coordinating with pedals. I see. Yeah, that's... I really want to try that one day, but I can't afford to. And also, I think I would throw up. I know they made specific missions for like PlayStation VR, and just watching people play the VR missions in Ace Combat 7 made me want to throw up. So I can't imagine doing that myself, let alone doing it within a hot hat system, controlling the thrusters and the stick. But I want to try one day. Ooh. God. Yeah, I'm so excited for Ace Combat 8. I'm so glad that so many people are excited for it, and I'm so glad that people are discovering it too, because I saw like there's like a VTuber group called V Fleet, and they follow, they're just like personified. I mean, it's basically like Azur Lane except more respectful. Tangent. I really dislike that Azur Lane doesn't even pretend to be about boats anymore. It is just a Gooner fan service game. But it's I do like that V Fleet is kind of taking up that mantle of like, sure, it's sexy VTubers, but then they also do like represent ships and want to like help people acknowledge the history of ships. That boat that you see in the Ace Combat 8 trailer, that aircraft carrier, is the USS Hornet. They're probably going to call it something else because Strange Real is not Earth. It is very similar to Earth, but it's not Earth. It's strange but real. Strange Real. But yeah, like people were discovering like, oh yeah, so like when the V Fleet talents was like, this ship is based on the USS Hornet. Should I be playing all the Ace Combat games? And now like people are getting into, holy shit, this Ace Combat game looks cool. Should we play it? Or like Mint Fantome, who's always been into the Ace Combat series, is like gonna play through all of them, which sounds awesome. I really need to play 1, 2, and 3 at some point. And then like, yeah, I want to play again, man. Maybe no, I don't want to mess with this setup, but if you don't mind me having like a shitty, like cheap ass mic with terrible like like with terrible audio quality, I really want to play through the Ace Combat games again for you guys. Yeah, because it would be so much fun. It would be so much fun. I want to replay through like 4-5. I want to replay through 450. I want to play through 7. I want to actually do those DLC missions on stream for you guys. Like, I want to play Ace Combat so badly. I want to play Ace Combat on stream so badly, but I can't. I fucking can't, and it's driving me insane. I wonder if there's a way I can connect it to my laptop, my PS4 to my laptop, and I can just play it like that. But man. Whatever. Anyways. I think that's it from me for now. Like, yeah, I'm just so excited about Ace Combat 8. I want to talk to you guys more about it. I want to actually, so they force you to wear a special suit so it would lessen the risk of your organs erupting. Jesus fucking Christ. So we are Mahali. I remember Mahali had to wear like a special suit because the G-forces he experiences are so intense because of his style of flight that they had to create a special flight suit for him to lessen the impact of that. And even then, like, he cripples himself by the end of the game because he performs such impossible maneuvers, such dangerous maneuvers that it does finally wear down his old ass body. But yeah, okay, I've yapped enough about Ace Combat. I've yapped enough for this stream. I think I'm gonna call it here. Thank you so much for watching. It's been fun. It's fun to be able to talk to you guys about this stuff because I really am super passionate about it. I just wish I can play more video games for you guys. Like, I love doing this Mixology streams, and I'm glad that this is my main content now, but I really do want to be able to do... Oh, that was good timing because the video ended. I guess we can start our old BGM before. Yeah, we can start our old BGM again. But I did promise before, but I just can't make it work because of like the way my life is right now. I can't. The only day I'm available to stream is this, and so I really want to be able to stream for you guys again. I think I might try setting up my PC to try to game again, and so we can do weekly streams where I game. It might be Twitch only. Because the way I've set up my YouTube account, at this point, it's basically a Mixology channel. If I do gaming content, it's going to mix things up and it's just not going to be good. So those streams might be Twitch only, but I do want to try setting up... I do want to try setting up my gaming PC to stream again, maybe starting next year, and we can just game together. Maybe they have to be silent streams. Maybe I just have to bite the bullet and spend like $300 on a second. Maybe I just need to suck it up and spend another $300 on a second mic and a second audio setup, because like moving all this stuff around is such a pain in the ass that it's basically a permanent setup wherever I put it. And so if I wanted to put this on my gaming PC, I would have to stop doing bartending streams. So yeah. I do want to do more gaming streams because like seeing Ace Combat makes me really want to play Ace Combat again, and just like you know how on Twitch it should they're like dedicated Tarkov streamers, dedicated Magic the Gathering streamers, dedicated Hearthstone streamers, dedicated Minecraft, dedicated Call of Duty, this or that. I definitely could be a dedicated Ace Combat as a Twitch streamer, I think, because it's just I love the series so much. It is my favorite series of all time. I am very comfortable saying that. Probably closely followed by the Metal Gear series, and I'm obsessed with Metal Gear, and I've probably talked about Metal Gear more than I've talked about Ace Combat, but I swear, if like a gun to my head, if I had to choose one or the other, I would choose Ace Combat, because like I feel like I'm way more well versed in that. I feel like I'm just so much more confident in my knowledge of that. And I just viscerally love it more. Like the Metal Gear games, I'm obsessed with them. I've played them probably more than the Ace Combat games too, but it's so cool the way they do Ace Combat, whereas like Metal Gear, there is shades of gray to it, but it's a little more black and white. I love the like gray nature of Ace Combat so much. In addition to just how viscerally fun it is, viscerally epic it is to do all these Top Gun-esque missions, which reminds me, I need to watch Top Gun one of these days. God, I love Ace Combat so much. Again, if I never get to do it as Sakatoku no Natsu, and if one of these days I graduate, but you see a male corpo VTuber tell you that they're gonna do Ace Combat, and that they're gonna do like canon only permadeath runs, no, that was me. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the old-fashioned discussion was very interesting to you, and then I hope the Ace Combat discussion was also very interesting to you. I just really wanted to yap about that today. I really wanted to make an aviation for it, but I wasn't sure. But I just didn't think of it until right before stream, so it was a little too late. But it was fun being able to talk about it regardless. We'll see what happens. It's been a busy month. Like December's a really, frankly, stressful time for me. So I hope we'll see when the next time I can stream is. But I hope to see you again. We'll figure something out, and thank you for being there with me. Have a great day. I hope you have a great day too. If you're on Twitch, stick around. I want to see who I can raid. But for YouTube, I am calling it here. Thank you